taught me how to live. Daddy taught me how to give. Both of them had their own sins. Down to the river, every man has felt the shame. All our blood, it runs the same. Father, hear us as we pray. Down to the river, down to the river. Sing, oh, oh, bury me, carry me, oh, oh, far beneath, oh, oh, fire and water me, going down deep, singing, oh, oh, bury me, carry me, oh, oh, far beneath, oh, oh, fire and water me, washing me clean, carry sea,
Hi, welcome to the Cryptid Wilderness Research Podcast. I am CWR team member Daniel Becker up here in Anchorage, Alaska, and joining me as always from Quincy, Washington, my fellow host, Matt Slater.
Hello.
How are things?
Oh, it's doing all right down here. We're getting our first actual snowfall of the season, I believe, today, even though it's 35 degrees outside, but it's all sticking.
Up here in Anchorage, the temperatures have been unusually warm over this last week, which means the bears are poking their heads out of their hibernation dens. And that's never a good sign for people like me who want to get out in the woods and look around. But it happens. So joining us tonight is CWR researcher consultant Robin Haynes from South Carolina. Robin is a cryptid researcher as well as a UFO investigator. She has a website called paranormal-empowerment.com where she offers various counseling services. And she is a friend of the show, and we've actually had her on the phone when we've been out in the field doing Bigfoot research. And for those of you who've followed our show, you might have heard me tell the story where I was out in the woods in Arkansas talking to Robin on the phone, and some wild hogs chased me up a tree. So she just happened to be on the phone at the same time that I went up the tree. So that's she's a great lady, and it's always great having her. So let's bring her in.
All righty.
Hi, guys.
Hi, Robin.
Hello.
Hi. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Thanks for joining us again. And
always.
We always love having you on. And when we're doing Bigfoot research out in the field down in Arkansas, William, Stephen, and I love having you on the phone.
You know what? I love it. I get to go out there with you guys even when I'm not there. And it's great because I could remote view it. And when you had the hogs, I kept saying, Daniel, there's hogs, there's hogs. And you're like, well, I don't see any hogs. And all of a sudden I hear them running. Like, I didn't even know what was going on.
Yes. I was running. I never knew I could climb a tree that fast.
Oh, yeah. You were good. You were good.
Yeah.
I enjoy it. I get to go out in the field with him even when I'm not there.
Yeah, it was definitely an interesting moment, but thanks for making yourself available to where we can contact you from the field and
always
get help. So that's awesome, and I'm looking forward to the next time out in Arkansas when we can do that again. Hopefully, you'll be able to join us in person one day.
Yeah, I'll be moving to Texas soon, and that'll be fantastic because we'll be able to meet up and go out. It'll be great. And thank you guys for having me back on the show. I love doing the show with you guys. You're fun.
Yeah.
So in addition to the cryptid research, one of the things that we haven't talked about on the podcast with you is your UFO encounters and specifically being an abductee.
Right.
So tell us your story.
Well, again, just like with the cryptids, when I was younger and when I was little, I was not aware that not everybody had these experiences. I have never actively sought out to find a cryptid, to start on this journey. I've never set out to have contact with with the aliens. That was never anything I looked for. Obviously now I'll go out in the field with people now and then, but it was nothing I tried for. I have had a very bizarre life, to say the least. My first time I was abducted that I was aware of, that I actually knew something was going on, I was roughly 4. When I was on the ship, I was told that I had been there before. I tend to believe that. And the reason I do is, even as a child, if you are standing there and you have aliens around you, okay, which I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like 5 or 6 of them were around me, I should have been frightened. I mean, anybody would be. I wasn't. I felt very much at home. I was very calm. One of them came forward and was talking to me through mind speak. I never saw anybody's mouth move. I saw eyes. I saw what looked like a bump where a nose would be. And I never saw a mouth that opened and closed or spoke to me. So everything was done telepathically. But I was like 4 years old. And this one was telling me that, I'd been there before. And I was mad because I was supposed to be in bed at home. And I just got really, I was kind of a precocious kid, and I wasn't frightened when I was there. And I looked at this one and I said, my mom is going to be so mad when she finds out that I'm not at home and I'm here with you. You better get me home, because my mom is going to be mad. And when she gets mad, you better look out, because she's going to get really mad I'm not home. But I'm telling this thing off. Any normal adult or child, if that was the first go round with these things, would have had fear. I never felt fear. I have in my lifetime. I've had good experiences and bad experiences with them, because I've been abducted on and off my whole life. In this case, I was not frightened at all. I remember this like it happened yesterday. My story has never changed on any show I've talked about it. I was in a room. There was an alcove. That one that I told off was inside that. It reached its arm towards me, and I felt it touch my skin. Had very long, thin fingers, thin wrist, thin arm. There was one that was behind me over by the wall. Both rooms were white. They were pure white. There was no seams. There was no rivets. There were no nails. And in the room that I was standing in behind me it looked like a small gray. It actually had a lab coat on. It had this table that jutted out from the wall. There was no legs on it. It was just like a board that came off the wall, but there was no hinges. It was like everything was molded into one piece. There was no cracks, crevices, latches, bolts, screws, nothing like that. It was just like it was a mold. And on it, and back at that time, we didn't have laptops, okay? So there's no such thing as a laptop. We didn't even have computers then. And this looked like a laptop, but there were no buttons on the laptop. There was the screen, and there was a flat area where the keyboard would have been, and they would go and they would touch it with their fingers, and all these various things would come up on the screen. What I came up on the screen didn't even look like anything I would have ever seen before. But on the wall, on the side of it, where the wall was at, were these large multicolored buttons. And this little gray would go up to it and push the buttons in a sequence. And after it did it in a sequence, then that would make what would be the screen of a laptop light up. And there would be various things on there that made no sense to me at age 4. When I was standing there talking to the one little being on my right-hand side, there was an arched doorway, and there were glyphs all around this arched doorway. All different shapes, designs, patterns that went around that door, the whole doorway. But when you look through the doorway, it looked like a modern day CAT scan machine. Back then, we had no CAT scan machines. And on that table was a very tall man with blonde hair that was unconscious. He was laying on the table, and they had him in there where his head was right about where the opening was, and it was spinning just like a CAT scan machine does. But again, back then, there were no CAT scan machines. So why I saw it, I have no idea. I had flashbacks the first time I was in a CAT scan machine. I was never in that one that I'm aware of, but I had memories of seeing them use it. They did not hurt this person. The person never even woke up. Had a sheet halfway up his body, and he was laying there. There was 2 tall grays in lab coats that were there, standing next to him. And then there was another short gray behind him. And then again, there was that table with what looked like a laptop and the multicolored buttons. And he was pushing them as well. I never saw dials. I never saw keyboards, anything. It was just like whatever they did, it went by the touch of their hand, other than when they pushed on the buttons. And those were the only thing with color. Everything else was like a stark white through everywhere. I don't even know how long. I was living in Michigan. I was born and raised in Michigan. So this was in Michigan. But they kept insisting I had been there before. And I believed that only because I was very relaxed there. I don't remember to this day in that particular one, because I've had encounters where I was frightened. That one I wasn't at all. I didn't feel any different when I was there than when I, sitting here and talking to you guys. It's just that's what was going on. And I'm like, my mom is going to find out I'm not in bed and she's going to be mad. And I'm like telling this one off. That one felt female to me. I felt more of a female vibe off of her, where the other ones were either neutral or male. I didn't really feel like a sex with them. I did her, which I thought was odd, because normally in any of my encounters, I've never picked up if they were male or female.
So you mentioned that these beings looked to be grays.
Yes.
In future abductions that you experienced, were they also grays? Were they the same grays you experienced?
No, I've had different kinds of come. I will say this: there are thousands of races of grays. Okay, not all are bad, not all are good. You got out in the universe, there's free will. So just because they're a certain race doesn't mean they're all bad. There's some races that are predominantly bad, yes. When it comes to the grays, what I know of them in my personal experiences, and I don't speak for everybody, just myself, there are good and bad. I've had grays that I felt were bad at the time, where I had been taken and they were doing DNA things on me, and I was like trying to get away from them all the time, and they felt more negative to me, but primarily they haven't been. I've had probably 2 instances, and I mean, we're talking, it's not like I get abducted all the time. My last one was about 1.5 years. I believe it probably happened since then, but I have no memory of it. But I've had more that it wasn't bad or good, it just was. But the point is, there are good and bad.
So these beings, these grays that would abduct a child, the most innocent of our humanity, and to me that says, not good.
It does.
What would be their purpose in abducting a child? Like what would?
Well, I've talked to people that they were a child and they had serious health issues, and they've been healed. Some of these grays, and this is a theory that people either tend to believe or just flat out refuse to even consider it. Some of the grays are actually supposed to be, because as we know, there's multiple planes, multiple dimensions. Okay. Us doing the show tonight has already happened on another plane. And in planes that are behind our timeline hasn't happened yet. So in the future, there have been some of our humans that, due to the nuclear weapons and things that we use on our planet and other things that we do, have already lived through that. And there is claims, and to some degree I do believe in them, because I've seen enough evidence of it, that they were us that have mutated. Now, a lot of people don't want to even go that route because they think it's too much for them to handle. It can't possibly be true. People can handle things when they're ready to handle it, is all I can say. But there are some grays, and they do use us for reproduction, because when they mutated, due to all of these things, they're now sterile. So, I've had the DNA taken. I've had the fetal implants. I had fetal implants 3 times. One, I think I probably miscarried it because it just like stopped. Another one I was taken at 5.5 months, and another one was taken at 3.5, almost 4 months. So, those were not, of course, anything that I would have ever wanted or wanted for anybody else. But I just don't think that everything they do is bad. And there's so much going on in our world right now that we can be thankful for, that they are stepping in to help. There's good and bad grays. There's good and bad reptilians. You know, we have a lot. That's why there's so much ET activity right now. And so I have to be fair and say that just because we don't understand everything they do does not make them bad. You know, I've dealt with bad ones. Trust me, there's some that have terrified me to my core. And I had them show up in my room and, you know, while I was awake, and completely paralyze me so I can't move. I work, Daniel, as you know, you guys, I work with energy and frequency, and I teach people on how to use it to protect yourself as well as just know how to use it. And basically what happened when I was paralyzed is you can throw energy out of your body. You don't have to move to do it. There are ways to do it and not have to move. Like I can throw energy from my hands. If I'm paralyzed and I need to do it in that situation, I can blast it out of my body any direction I want and not even move a muscle. What happens is we are all energy and frequency based. People with high frequency and energy are great because that means you have more of a pure heart, and it has to do with the level of frequency you have. That's what we want. Our planet is shifting into that higher frequency. That's good. But when you get the bad ETs, bad humans, bad anything, they come from a lower frequency. They do not do well, and they cannot survive in the higher frequency. So when you are in these situations where you're under attack, and like I was when they tried to paralyze me, when you throw that frequency from within your body at them, they cannot sustain it, and it literally will kill them. It literally, when I did that, it took all of 2 seconds to get them out of here, and I didn't have any more problems again with them. And that group never came back. So there are ways to protect yourself.
So when people are talking about alien encounters, we often hear of 3 distinct groups most of the time. One is the grays. I'd say that's the one we hear about the most. The other ones are the reptilians, and the third ones are the Nordics. Those are the big 3 that we seem to hear about a lot.
Yeah.
Have you had encounters with all 3 of these?
Yeah. Yes.
And
The Nordics, when I encountered them, I had a abduction the night before that was done with alien technology, but was not actually an alien that had taken me. And it was terrifying. It was not good at all. And so the next day I was like, I want to know why nobody showed up. Like, where are the Nordics? Where are the Pleiadians? Where are Arcturians? You know, where are all the good guys? You know, when all this is going on. And they did show up. They had shown up that night, but it was after the fact. They came back the next night, and I spoke with them. I mind speak as well as I can handle seeing them in a physical form. It doesn't frighten me. And, you know, they were fine. They always say that the Nordics are really, really good. And I'm going to be honest with you. When I talked to them, I don't think they were bad. I don't think they were evil. They were just there. They were very kind to me. I don't remember everything they said. I remember them getting and putting their face very like up front to mine and kind of cocking their head side to side and mind speaking with me. But after the encounter was over, my memory was taken away as far as what was said. So I don't know. But I didn't feel as comfortable with them. I didn't feel afraid of them. They did not hurt me. But I did not get as good of a feeling from them as I have with per se Pleiadians. You know, the Pleiadians have never terrified me. The good ETs, they seem to be fine. And there's been bad ones as well. I've had multiple encounters of abductions, and sometimes they let you remember, sometimes you don't. Now, the bad ones seem to get a really good thrill out of letting us remember the bad stuff they try to do. And they are terrifying. You wake up and you're afraid to move. You know, when I learned how to, dream state is a real place. You can take control of the situation in dream place. It's very real. It's just as real as when we're awake. It's just a different plane. Once you learn how to work with your energy and your frequency in order to control the situation and protect yourself, it gives you your power back. And then I learned over time how to, in dream state, fight back. And as soon as I started fighting back and throwing energy and frequency at them where it caused them pain, the bad ones, I don't get it nearly as much as I did. And if I am getting taken by the bad ones, they're making sure I don't remember now, because if I don't remember, I can't fight back. And so a lot of them, a lot of them don't let you remember. And I actually believe that that's more a level of kindness than anything. We tend to be frightened of things we don't understand. Our people kill what they don't understand. And a lot of these encounters, well, yes, there are bad ET encounters, 100%. But a lot of these encounters are not bad. And I feel like they block it out, so we're not frightened. Even if they're kind to us, we're afraid because we don't know anything about them. We don't know why they're with us. We don't know why. I mean, those are the things that go through your mind. And I feel like it's more an act of kindness not to let us remember. I'm perfectly fine. If they don't want me to remember and it's just missing time, I'm good with that. What am I going to be afraid of? It's missing time. I don't remember anything. Have I had an encounter where it was missing time and it was more than that? Absolutely. Scared me to my core. But what was done to me was done to help me. It was not done to hurt me, but it was terrifying nonetheless. A lot of times, like with these kids, they'll take adults. We don't know all the reasons. Some is for nefarious reasons and is bad. You know, we look at an abduction and we automatically assume it's bad. It's not great. I'm not going to lie. They're taking us without our consent, except our government gave them consent. And the contracts that were signed with the ETs as far back as Eisenhower and before that, our government signed a contract with some very, very bad ones that said they were allowed to take our people. They didn't just start taking us without consent. Our government gave them that consent. But our government also told them that all humans get returned unharmed and without their memory. On our part, we were never to disclose that they ever existed. And we got technology. Do I think we would have been abducted anyway? Possibly. But knowing that our government made us the sacrificial goat for technology does not make me feel warm and fuzzy. You know, but again, not all of these encounters are bad. I've had some that were helpful. I had one that actually came to me in dream state. And again, dream state is as real as when you're awake. And it looked like it had the head of a praying mantis, only it was black and white. And they can shapeshift. They can become any shape or form, anything that's in your memory, they can actually become. Okay, the difference that you'll notice, because they will look exactly like whoever they choose out of your life to look like. They can imitate the sounds, they can imitate the movements. They use your brain like a file of facts. Any memory you have, they can copy. So they know every single conversation you've ever had with somebody. They know your movements. They know how you deal with things. They know everything. And they take that and they can use it against you in order to abduct you. In this case, it came to me as my grandmother that had passed away. And I was following her when it shape-shifted into its regular form. It threw the frequency waves at me. I threw them back. Okay, and that took care of it, and it was over and done with, and it has never come back because it basically didn't survive it. We can do that. Okay, we are so much more powerful than we think. We have no concept. Most people don't realize just how powerful we are. We have abilities, but until you learn that you have them and how to use them, they're not there for you to protect. Okay, that's why I started the business that I have. Besides that, these things, they've always been there. I was told, it's been 4 years now, I was given a message. There was somebody that I think the world of that was under attack by aliens and had been attacked by these ET beings his whole life. He didn't talk about it to many people. A family member and myself, that was it. I was helping his family member work with some of the cryptids, and he asked me to talk to this man. I said, yes, I would. We became friends. I helped him with it. I got the attacks to stop. He hadn't had them in years. He gets hold of me one day and he's like, they showed up again. And I'm like, this has been 6 years since you've been attacked. What's going on? And he said, these were different. These I felt nothing but love from, because some of them you will feel love from them. Others you'll feel fear and hate from, but some of them you'll feel love. And he's like, they wanted me to give you a message. They said, the woman you talked to about us. And he said, you are the only one I talked to about it. I'm like, okay. They wanted me to know how they take possession of our people so that the bad ones could be stopped. Now, I'm fine with giving the information, but getting people to listen is another story. If you can't get people to listen to what they're not mentally ready or capable of hearing. What actually does happen is you are watched from the time you enter this world. Every memory, every thought, every person you encountered, they tap into your psyche and you are monitored from the time you are born. They watch everything you do. They learn your body movements. They learn who you talk to. There's nothing that they don't know. When you get to the age that they want to take that possession, they simply remove your soul through a variety of ways and insert themselves. Now, I have been attacked and I have encountered human hybrids that were actually ETs. I was in Pennsylvania when I was attacked one time. I got ripped right off my bed. It was one of the scariest nights of my life. I ended up with claw marks all over my legs. Fortunately, I was a friend of mine. We were going up in the mountains at that time to go into the woods. And so she was there as well. She was in the next bed over because we shared a room. And I was completely paralyzed. I couldn't even yell. The terror was so intense, I could not yell. And I finally broke one of my arms free. I couldn't throw energy. I was too terrified. And I bumped something on the nightstand. I think it was a pop can or something, fell over and woke her up. She jumped up as I was being dragged off of the bed. She couldn't even see what had me. I knew when we encountered it, we were at the gas station. It was a gas station pizza place, and we were getting something to eat. It locked eyes on me, and I knew the very second that it did. And I knew I was in trouble. We got back to the hotel, and the thing followed us because the hotel was within walking distance, and it followed us. I was pulled 3/4 of the way off the bed before it let go. I went back up on the bed. I laid down. I was absolutely terrified beyond belief. And it kept making her sleep. And so she's like, you have got to fight through it. You've got to fight through it and scream or do something because I'm not going to know if it comes back. And I said, it's coming back. I know it's coming back. And it did. As soon as it knocked her out again, it came and grabbed me again. This time I was a little bit more prepared. I was still absolutely terrified beyond belief. But again, I was able to hit the table enough because I couldn't talk. I absolutely could not talk, to wake her up. And after the second attempt, we grabbed our bags and we left the hotel in the middle of the night. You know, I have this insane ability where I can look at something, and if it's a hybrid of some kind, I'm going to see what it actually is, as well as see what it presents itself as. And that's come in very handy. It's kept me alive. So there are some experiences that are extremely bad and some that aren't. You know, there's good and bad in everything. It's a universal balance. But we are not as hopeless as we think we are when it comes to these things. And there are a lot of them, especially right now, that are with us, that are very kind. Every time we started the nuclear weapons, the ETs are the ones that have shut it down. Okay? In April, I think it was April 8th, when they did the eclipse, which wasn't a real eclipse. Okay? That was not a real eclipse. And there's a lot of things that opened up and came out during that fake eclipse. But they also opened CERN up. They can tell everybody on the planet that they didn't. They did. They opened up CERN, and if it wasn't for the ETs, what came out of that thing could have really hurt all of us. So there are some that are good, that we need to be grateful that are actually here. There's bad ones as well that are deadly, but there's a lot of good ones. Right now, we've got several races here that not only have they lived on this planet, but they're actually visiting this planet right now to help us with some things that are going on currently. You know, and for those, I'm very grateful that they're here because we need them. But again, the bad ones are really bad. They are not pleasant.
So having been abducted multiple times and having had encounters with the three main ones that we hear about, what can you tell us about the differences in ships that you've been on?
The only one that I really remember a lot of the inside was when I was 4. The other ones, I remember seeing them before I was taken. I was actually, this was back, and I'm guessing the date, 2013 to 2014, somewhere within that time range. I was outside. I was talking to a government contact that I had concerning the Sasquatch. It was roughly 9:30, 10 o'clock at night, pitch dark outside. And I remember, for whatever reason, something made me turn around. And I looked over in my side yard, because we had 10 acres out in the woods. And I looked over in the side yard and I saw this ship. It was oval shaped, the color of molten lava. And the farther down the ship you went, to the bottom of it, as you know, lava, as it gets hotter, you know, it's either brighter or it starts to get dark or whatever. And the bottom of it was darker, where as you went up the ship, it was brighter, but it looked like the color of lava. And it was just hovering above the ground. I want to say approximately maybe 10 feet. I remember seeing it, and something in my head going, oh no, not again. And then I don't remember anything. The next thing I remember was standing in that yard, back where I was, only facing a different direction. I was dizzy, not really disoriented, but kind of like foggy, going, what just happened? And I still had my phone in my hand. And something told me to look at the phone. I looked at the phone. There was over an hour and 45 to an hour and 50 minutes time difference. And I thought, why was I even out here? Like, I didn't remember. So I started looking through the phone, and I saw who I had been talking to. I called that person back, and he said, hey, kiddo, where'd you go? I thought your phone died. And I said, I was talking to you. And he's like, yeah, I know you were. You know, we were talking about the underground bunkers that they were building to try to house the Sasquatch in, and out west. And he said, I just figured your phone died. You'd call me tomorrow. He said, are you okay? You sound really funny. And I couldn't remember what had happened. I had no memory of it. What I have noticed with these encounters and with the abductions, at least in my case, I can't speak for everybody, your brain is still functioning. They do what they call trancing on you. Same thing that the cryptids can do. But your body goes into automatic pilot. And every time with me, it seems traditionally that for 3 days, unless it's one that I'm really terrified, where it's like it just obliterates that because they don't care that I know. But for like 3 days, I'm on autopilot. My body does all the movements it's supposed to. It took care of the kids. It made breakfast. It made dinner. It took care of the animals. But I was quieter than normal, and my body just did what it was trained to do every day. But meanwhile, in my mind, it's like an explosive bomb going off, going, oh my God, I feel like I'm trapped in my own head. What just happened? I don't remember. And my brain is in panic mode, but I couldn't verbalize it. And then roughly 3 to 4 days afterwards, traditionally what happens with me is something will trigger, and then I cut loose. And then I'm like hyperventilating, going, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, what just happened? What just happened? Depending on the severity of the abduction is whether or not how panicked I get. In that particular case that night, it was 3 days later, I walked in the same door. I'd taken my kids to school. I walked in the same door that I had that night, and it just hit me, and I was right on the ground. And I'm shaking, and I'm going, oh my God, they did it again. Oh my God, what did they do? But I had no memory of it. I just remember being upset and scared that the trance was off. I now fully remembered that something did happen, even though I couldn't remember what happened during the blackout time. You know, I had another situation where I got pulled through a wall. It was wide awake and levitated up towards the ship.
So we've got some pictures that you sent us. Matt, why don't you pull those up? And Robin, if you could guide us through these, that'd be awesome.
Absolutely. This is, and we'll be showing it shortly here, there's a video that was taken from my front porch by my son-in-law. And he likes to go outside and look for the UFOs. We always have UFOs over our house. And he had gone outside and saw a craft in the sky. He began filming it, hollered to me to come out to watch. I came out. We all stood on the porch and watched it. The craft released 2 ships from behind it. This was one of the ships that it released. I pulled this from the video footage. I want to point out that he did, after the video was done being taken, he sent it to MUFON. MUFON did a complete and thorough investigation on the video itself, wrote him back, and said, this is a class 1 sighting. This is not terrestrial. They were so impressed with this video that last year they used it at one of their, it was a symposium that they did for the top videos of the year. We weren't even notified that they were going to use it. We found out about it accidentally, and they used it for that. This is one of the ships. This was discharged off the back of the main ship. This came from a security camera that I used to have on the outside of my house before the Sasquatch demolished them. And in the upper part of it, there's that red circle. There's a 3 triangle dot. That is a UFO. This particular UFO we had seen outside of my garage and just above my garage multiple times. This is what time the security camera actually caught it. Below, you're going to see a portal. That lighted thing is a portal. That had a head coming out of it. At that point, it shut the entire security cameras down. I watched it for a few minutes. I screen captured some footage off of it, and then the whole camera went out. Now you can see, just barely see the 3 dots from the ship in the circle, and then again with the portal. If you look at the 10 o'clock spot, you'll see where the head emerges and 2 dark eyes. That is the portal up close. That was underneath the triangular shaped craft. As you can see in the 10 o'clock position, there is a face.
Yep.
Yeah, I do see that.
Yeah,
in those 2 eyes.
Yep.
And you say this is an alien sticking its head out of the portal?
Yeah, that's my assumption of it. It was right directly under the craft. The craft was there. It opened that particular portal. I do have portals on my property. I do not have one there, but we have seen them before just appear. Not all portals are anchored. Some can be moved and put wherever. And this was directly under that triangular shaped craft. This you're going to notice on the right-hand side. While all of this is going on, you can faintly see the light over from the portal on the left. On the right, you're going to see a beam of light that came down. That, where it's coming down on, is actually my bedroom, and I was abducted on that night. I have no memory of it. I just remember that I had been taken. But that is the beam coming from a UFO onto my bedroom.
I'm speechless with these pictures.
I know.
That's incredible evidence.
Very fascinating.
Yeah. This is the main craft that came from the video. As it spun where the light's at, it spun in a circle horizontally, and there was multiple different colors. And as you'll see on the video, it shows the different colors. Okay, here we go. The one in front of it was the lit up. I'm trying to see if that might even have been the gray one, because that there's a craft and it has a multi-light spinning, and then I think that is actually the gray one that I had the first picture up that you showed, because there was 2 that were discharged from that craft. That one did not show up to the naked eye. The one on the left did not show up to the naked eye that I recall, but when I blew up the photo, it was there. And then that red one. The red one did show to the naked eye. But these were discharged from the main craft. And this again comes from the video that we'll see shortly that my son-in-law took. I would love to take credit for it, but I'm not going to do that. That was all him. He did a fantastic job. Absolutely phenomenal job of getting that video.
Now, is this in South Carolina?
Yes. These photos were taken from my front porch.
Are you close to any military installations by any chance?
Well, South Carolina has a lot of them, but I'm actually not. I'm a good hour and a half, hour and 45 minutes or more from them. No, but this is what goes on with me no matter where I'm at. Okay, this is, and I'm sorry, guys, it is a little bit hard to see. If you look up where it's green and looks like an oblong thing, this is actually an ET that was sleeping in the bushes. I was outside taking random pictures. I didn't know he was there. He had the head of him was kind of like football shaped and green and white. And then you can see the green body laying in the brush. He was just in there snoozing. I didn't even realize I got him on camera. I had taken the picture. I did not know he was there. I heard rustling in the bushes. I heard it run off. And then I looked at my photos and there he was.
That's amazing.
Yeah. In my front yard.
Yeah. Just right out there.
Where else would anything go? Yeah. I literally had portals open up in my front yard out of nowhere.
Wow.
It's crazy. And again, this happens no matter where I live. It's not just because it's this house. This has been going on since I was a kid.
Yeah, the phenomenon's tied to you.
Yeah, it is. It is. And I've had several, just so everybody knows, there's been several witnesses with me. If I was by myself and I didn't have photos and I didn't have witnesses, even though I know, I would never lie about any of this. I have no reason to. People think I'm crazy. Why would I lie to make people think I'm crazy? But I have witnesses. I have photos. I now have video. You know, even my family doctor believes it, because I do have an implant in my ear. And so she prescribes medication for me, because when there's a lot of ET activity, I get a lot of drainage from it. And so she keeps me supplies with medication for my, and if you ask her, she'll be very upfront and say, no, the ETs are doing this to you.
So let's switch over and take a look at that video.
Yeah. Hey, that little building underneath there, that is my pump house. And there's cages out there. That's because I have feral cats and I separate the sexes and put them out there. This is the main craft that you're going to see right there, spinning. And then it discharged that little one that you saw in the first picture, and the red one. But I think the reason I could not see in between those two, that dome-shaped one, is because of the color of it, and it was dark outside. And I think that's why it took actually having to see it on camera to be able to do it. And it will show you more close-ups and the colorations of the craft in this video. I think the video started in the middle, because normally you see it up front. That's another one that was zooming around. That little gray one, that dome one, turned into that. Check on that, because in the beginning of the video, it actually shows the colored one much closer. I don't know if it showed it when we played it prior to the show. I don't know why it's not doing it now.
Yeah, I've got it rewound all the way to the beginning of the clip that I have.
Okay. Yeah, there you go. That's a little bit better. It was out there hovering around for quite some time. Again, MUFON has gone through this with a fine-tooth comb. They also checked with the airlines, the military bases, and so forth, to see whether or not any of our things were up in the sky that night. We were told conclusively that they were not, that this is not a terrestrial craft, any of it.
That is quite an impressive video.
Yes,
Yeah.
it is.
Like I said, my son-in-law gets all the credit, God bless them, because he's the one that happened to go outside, and he happened to be looking around and saw it, and he just immediately started filming. The light down below is a floodlight from the next door neighbors. That's not a craft.
So over the last 2 years or so, Congress has held hearings to discuss matters of UFOs. And basically, these hearings have been giant nothing burgers.
Yep.
Just a lot of word salad. Do you think that the government is on its way to full disclosure?
I think it's going to be a while before we get full disclosure. I will say this. I believe President Trump will be instrumental in helping with this. I think he has knowledge of things that perhaps other presidents did not want to bring forward. I'm not pointing fingers at any of them, but don't want to have come forward. We were silenced for a long time, not just by our government, but because of the agreements with the ETs that they were not to come forward with it. Our government also put a cap on it for a lot of reasons, okay? And in order for them to come forth in disclosure, they have to admit that they've been lying to us all along. That's the only way to do it, because they can't say that, oh, wow, now look, there is aliens. They've been working with aliens for hundreds of years. This isn't like they just woke up one day and discovered them here. They've been living amongst us. We have some that live underground. We have some that live on the planet that are hybrids, that are walking amongst us and always have been. This is nothing new. And they've kept it quiet. They cannot protect us from them. They don't need to protect us from most of them, because they're not going to do anything. You know, can they? Of course they can. They're a superior being. They're higher frequency. They're much more intelligent than us. They're also much more compassionate. Just like we experience with the cryptids, because of the higher frequency, their emotions are at a much higher level. The aliens are the same way. And so, do I think we're going to get full disclosure? I don't think the government's capable of giving us full disclosure. I think there's always going to be things that we're not told about, unfortunately. Do I think that there is going to be some disclosures? Yes. We have several things that are happening right now that will be coming out where we will have that interaction. And I think it's going to be great. But I think people are not mentally prepared for that because they've not been prepared for it. We have been told and lied to that they don't exist. They're never going to exist. People are afraid to come forward and talk about their abductions. You need to talk about your abductions. You need to know that you are not mentally off balanced. Okay, now are there people that come to me and tell me that they are and they haven't been? Yeah. Okay, I'm psychic, I'm an empath, I'm an intuitive. I can generally pick out points that, that say they're not. Can somebody lie to me about it? Yeah, anybody can lie to me about it. Just because I don't go up to you and say, I think you're full of it and you're making it all up, doesn't mean I'm not aware of it. But most people that come to me and want to talk to me about it generally have an encounter, or they think they may have. And you need to investigate that for your own mental health. You need to know that you're not alone. You need to know that there are people out there that will listen, okay, that will believe you and that you are not crazy. These things have been going on since we were here. It's not going to stop. It's only going to get more intense. There are ways to protect yourself. You just have to know how to use the frequency and energy within your own body, because that's the way to do it. A lot of people will plead the blood of Jesus Christ. When they're around the bad ones, they run like crazy to get away from that. But I also believe that as much as that helps, there's always, and I tell this to people all the time, there's always going to be something out there bigger and badder than you that are going to find a way around it. They are going to find a way around any protection that we do. But I have found in my lifetime, with all of these abductions, and there's been a ton, I can probably give you 4 or 5 that were horrifying. And the rest I either don't remember, or afterwards I felt love, I felt compassion, and there was nothing to fear. When we look at people that are missing in the woods, everybody thinks a dog man took them or a Sasquatch took them. Being real, there are portals everywhere. People disappear in portals and they don't even know they're walking into them. But there are also aliens that live on this planet. We are not the only thing here. There are far worse things out running around in the woods than a Sasquatch and a dog man. Okay? But we do have very kind aliens as well. Right now, at this particular moment in time, we have Venetians, we have Pleiadians, we have Arcturians, we have the good Greys, the good reptilians, we have Syrians, we have a large amount of aliens right now that are on this planet for certain events. Okay? And they're here right now, and they are very kind, they are very loving, and they don't want to do anything but help. So it's always important to remember that, yes, some things are bad, but there's also a lot of things that are good. Not all abductions are meant to harm. I know of people that have actually been abducted, but they've been healed. That's why they were taken. There's a various amount of reasons why you could be taken, some good and some bad. But we have not been prepared for it because we've been lied to our whole life, saying that they don't exist. And now what's happening is the same thing that happened with the Sasquatch and the dogmen and all the other cryptids. Reality is coming forward where we have been lied to believe that they didn't exist. And now you've got fact and fiction coming right up in front of your face. And how do you mentally prepare for something that is so remotely different than you and that you were told didn't exist? And I think that's one of the biggest obstacles that we have.
Matt Slater.
Well, we're talking about all the events that have happened recently. There's beings and races that are on the planet now for an event coming up. Coincidental, perhaps, with these events that are going on recently with the drones. People are calling them drones. I don't believe they're drones. I think they're UAPs. They're on the East Coast, they're the West Coast, they're international.
Oh yeah. They're out of the country, they're everywhere.
Yeah, and I'm just curious to ask your opinion about what that might entail.
Yeah, I mean, through different contexts that I've had, I've gotten various reports. I've watched them. I check for energy signatures, in the footage that I've seen. I think we have more than one thing going on. And this is, again, you guys, my opinion. Can I prove any of this part? No. My experience, of course, I can prove it, and it's my opinion only. I
Yeah.
think that yes, some of them are UFOs, absolutely. I know for various reasons that they would be here, but also we also have got military that are getting in there too, looking for various things. And I think that it's also partly a way for them to prepare us for some of these disclosures with the things that are going to be coming up in the future. People need to be prepared for the fact that some of these things are going to be around. They are.
Yeah.
And for the event that will happen, not if it will happen, but will happen, it's good. It's very good. Okay. It's very needed. And at the end of the day, we're going to be very blessed that we were able to be part of it. But I think that it's a way to help prepare people. I do think that a lot of them are UFO ships, like they had, the Palladian ships, and just for the record, the ship that was in that video, while I can't confirm it, we have every reason to believe that that was a Palladian ship. But the Palladians, they've got it videoed when they came, and they've been here for several months. I think they've always been here on and off, but large quantities came in several months ago, if not prior to that. They have been coming in large numbers. But I also think that some of it is government. I think the government has taken, once again, what's actually going on in our world and tried to take control of it and manipulate it to whatever benefit that they need. Whether it's I've got these drones up there looking for various things on the ground and claiming, letting people believe it's the aliens, let the aliens take the fall for it while they're the ones doing it. I don't believe that it's all military. I think a large portion is actually UFOs. And that's been very apparent considering the timing. These little drones, UFOs have drones. I've had two of them, well, three different times they've landed in my yard. The first one was in my front yard. It was early evening. I walked by my dining room window. Everything was fine out front. There wasn't a problem. Front yard had the grass in it. An hour later, I walked by and there was a circular cutout in my grass. I walked out there and it looked like all the grass, my grass went from beautiful green, lush grass to a complete circle, perfectly circle. Like you could have cookie cuttered it. And all the grass was smushed down in brown. It was not like that previously. And you could see exactly that it had landed there. That grass never grew back. And that was 4 years ago. I had it happen in the backyard up by the woods. And when it went back there were two small beans that were by it. My daughter witnessed one in the backyard. So the drones are real and they are UFOs. As far as what's going on in our world today, I do believe that some are truly UFOs with extraterrestrials in it. But I also believe that the government, since the timing is so great that the aliens are already doing it, they've jumped on the bandwagon and they put their own drones in there to kind of create the mixture as well and kind of sneak in and monitor and do whatever it is they want to do and to help create mass panic. Our government is losing credibility. It's been very, very bad recently. We're looking at a new future that we hope will be wonderful, and I think will. But we are trying to overcome a very bad time. Okay. And I think that they have lost credibility. They're trying to get people to look back to them for guidance again. But when we've looked to the government for guidance, regardless of what party, we've been slapped in the face every time. We haven't, they were supposed to protect us, and the only way they could protect us was to make us think we were stupid. And as long as we're stupid, our frequency stays down. We don't tap into our abilities. We don't realize what's actually out there. And that way we're controlled. And I'm sorry for anybody if they're offended because I'm political. I'm normally not a political person. But when it comes to this topic, it ends up going that way because of what's been done. So I think now, especially during elections, people are fighting back and forth and arguing back and forth. So I think at this point in time, you know, politically, it's kind of like a hit and miss. And if they can come in and say, you know, look at, there's all these UFOs, there's all these aliens, and we're going to protect you, and we're going to be strong, and you're going to be safe, then it makes them look good. Unfortunately, what I'm getting when because I speak to the ETs, like, I mean, I mind speak. So it's not that hard. Do I do it often? No, I don't, but I do at times. From what I've been told, there is nothing that is trying to harm us at this time. Now, December 3rd was listed as when we were supposed to have the attack, the invasion of all the aliens. I never got concerned. My contacts, as far as the aliens go and the cryptids go that I talked to, all of them said we would be fine. I never gave it a second thought. We were fine. So do I think there's bad ones out there still coming in? Yeah. But what I will say is the good ones did surround the globe, did make sure we were safe, so that if there was any type of invasion by anything bad, we were protected. And for that, I'm grateful. And I'm very grateful to them for some of the things that will be coming up within the next year or so that they are helping with and assisting with, because it's needed badly. Our people need help. And where, you know, I will be the first one with their hand up going, yeah, there's some that are evil. And some of the scariest things that have ever happened to me have been at the hands of some of the bad ones. But that does not take away from the good ones and the gratitude I feel towards them for the things that help, just like I would for any of our people. You know, I mean, this has been going on for me my whole life, so it's a little bit easier for me to deal with, and it's a little bit easier for me to accept. Does that mean that I don't get put in situations with them that terrify me? No, I mean, I am human. But I guess what I would tell everybody is keep your mind and your heart open. Just because it looks different, just because it acts different, doesn't mean it's bad. The bad ones are bad enough, and trust me, as bad as the bad ones can be, you will know it. Okay? But you're going to, at some point in time, whether it's now, whether it's in 5 years, in 10 years, you are going to be interacting with these beings. And that's not necessarily a bad thing. You know, and I'll probably get in a lot of trouble for this too. If you read the Bible, God created the heavens and the earth. It is not up for us to determine what he created and what he didn't. That is God's work. That it created everything in the heavens and the earth. They come from the heavens. They're out in the galaxy, you know, so do the math. Everything has free will, which means it can go good or bad, just like with our people. And I'm not saying, I mean, I have no proof of any of this, but I know what I've experienced. I've known what I see. I know what they've taught me, you know.
So we're getting close to time, but before we go, I want to ask you about crop circles. What is the purpose of crop circles, in your opinion?
My opinion, it's more communication. Just like with the cryptids, we have the stick structures, we have the vocals, we have all of these things. Crop circles are a form of communication. Okay, you look down and you see these ones like in Peru and all over, and these just elaborate, beautiful, the crop circles. And they all have a meaning. Whether or not we understand the meaning doesn't matter. The intention of it was a meaning. It's a form of communication. They use it. And because a lot of the things that I've noticed with them, very much like I've noticed with the cryptid, are energy infused. Like when I went out into that circle in my front yard where that little drone had landed on and left, you could stand in that circle and get nauseated. You could feel the energy coming off of it. You know, so a lot of this stuff is energy triggered. And if you notice with these crop circles, it never grows back. Once they're made, it stays there. It doesn't change. That's done with energy. It's done with the frequency. I've seen different shows like Linda Moon Howe or whatever, who I greatly admire. And she's talked, and so has Stephen Greer, who I admire, about the energy and how it shows radiation traces in it. You know, I mean, there's just a lot to them. They're simply not just an accident. Do I think that we have people that have made crop circles to try to, you know, dissuade the truth? Absolutely. That's just because that's kind of how our people are. But a lot of these are actual real crop circles that they've created. And I firmly believe with every ounce of my being, they are messages, they are communication. Some of them are star maps. I actually had a in Michigan, they had just very elaborate structures on my property. And in one of the areas at the back of my property, which was heavily wooded, there was one spot open in the trees where at night you could see the moonlight come through, or during the day the sun would come through that one spot in the middle of the woods. Nowhere else. It was all completely shadowed, but that one spot was opened up. They built a structure that was at an angle and pointed up towards the sky. You could see it very clearly from the sky. And it was just the most bizarre looking structure. And I had somebody at my house who was an architect, and he looked at that. He said, "That's a map." And I said, "What do you mean a map?" He said, "I'm telling you, that's a map." He went into town. He got a plat map of my property, took a picture of it, went on the computer and imposed that over the top of the picture of the structure. It matched perfectly. That is not an accident. It showed the roads, it showed the waterways, it showed everything in there. And they had it at an angle. And that angle, I went out there at night, when the moonlight hit it directly on that map. So if they were looking for me, it was right there. And the Sasquatch created that. Or I thought the Sasquatch, I mean, an ET could have, but it was back there with the rest of the structures that the Sasquatch had made.
So before we close, again, I want to go back to Matt in Quincy, Washington for any final thoughts and questions.
Incredible story, powerful information. To be able to talk about your experiences like that, I know that takes a lot to be able to do that. And the help that you provide people is just a great benefit to
Well, thank
society, through, especially,
Thank you.
through your website. There's the Facebook group as well. People can
Yeah.
seek that out. I think it's really important, the service that you provide.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Well, I want people,
tell our
if I
viewers.
might just say one thing. I
Yeah.
want people to know something really quick before I forget. I'm sorry to interrupt you, Daniel. I don't want anybody to think, because I come forward and I talk about this and I'm not freaking out when I'm talking about it, that I'm very blasé about it and very indifferent to it and like it's not a big deal. It is a very big deal. I take it very seriously. I've already had my moments on the bad encounters where I've had my breakdown about it. And I've spent a lifetime where I stayed quiet, except for a few people. And I did stay quiet because I knew everybody would think I was nuts. I am at a point now, and this started for me about 10, 15 years ago. I'm all right if people don't believe me. I'm all right if people think I'm crazy, because the people that need my help are going to get it. It's that simple. And if that means the whole world thinks I'm, making it up or I'm nuts or whatever, I'm fine with that, because when I laid my head down at night, I know that I've never lied about it. God knows I've never lied about it. And if I can help one person not go through that terror or that feeling of being alone because of what they experience, then I am perfectly fine with all the hate that comes along with it. I really am. But I don't want anybody to say, "Oh yeah, she's just real blasé about it, like it's not a big deal." It's a very big deal. And I've done my time with the panic and the fear and, acceptance of it, where now it doesn't faze me. I still have encounters that I do get frightened of, absolutely. But it's just, I just didn't want anybody to think that I was just like real frivolous about it, like it wasn't a big deal.
Tell our viewers about your great website and what are some of the services that you offer.
It's called Paranormal Empowerment. The website is www.paranormal-empowerment.com. I started it because I have been working with people for well over 40 years, and working with them not only with the UFO situation and coping with that, but sharing what I do know about cryptids and how to interact with them and be safe with them and deal with the bad ones as well as the good ones, teaching people how to use their abilities, how to work with the frequency and the energy and the light. I am a psychic. I am an intuitive. I do have a lot of abilities, and I help people come to terms with their abilities. I teach them how to use them, how to be safe, how to read the energy signatures. And a lot of times I get people that I feel I'm not a therapist by any means, but I swear sometimes I think that's what I am, because people need to download these experiences. They need to be able to talk about them in a safe place. So I try to offer that for everybody. I'm not an expert. I don't believe in an expert in any of these fields. If somebody tells you they're an expert, please stay away from them because there is none. But I am always happy to share what I do know and what I've learned. We're all on this journey together, whether we want to or not. And I've done this for a very long time. It got to the point, I work with people all over the globe. And it got to the point where I was so busy with everybody. I had gone through a divorce. I needed to be to work to take care of myself and my animals. And I was working. But in working, I was not able to be there for my people. I know that's what my purpose is. I know that's what my path is. And I couldn't be there and help the people that needed me. And people were calling around the clock and I couldn't get to them. I work with people 7 days a week on all time zones, even across the globe. So I couldn't be there for them. And it got to the point something had to give. So I quit my job and decided that I was going to do this full time. And somebody that I worked with at the time said, you need to do this as a business. And I said, I've done this all these years and I never wanted it as a business where I was being paid for it, but I can't keep up with everybody and work. So that's why it ended up turning into a business. And as things have progressed in our world, now is the time that people need the help more than ever. We're doing the energy shifts and the frequency shifts on the planet. Everybody needs to be able to be brought along with it. They need to be able to tap into it. Our 3D is going to be obsolete. We're all going into 4 and 5D and we need guidance. All of us. You know, I learn every day. Everybody learns every day. Even when you feel like you're not, you are getting information into your brain. Sometimes it moves very quickly and you move along quickly. Other times it's like watching paint dry, but it doesn't change the fact that you are learning every single day. And we are going into a new phase on this planet. And people need to be aware of it. And they want to know, why are we feeling so off? Why don't I feel like I fit in? You don't fit in because you have abilities and you're not tapped into them. So you're creating an unbalance within yourself. You have to be able to be in the 3D world and the 4 and 5D world at the same time. So I just decided I was going to go for it. I suck at advertising and my content creator is forever on me. You know, I need to be out there and I need to promote and I'm terrible. So it seems to be going better as word of mouth. I'm more comfortable with that. I love my clients. They end up turning out to be my friends. And I'm so proud of them. The things that they're achieving and the things that they are doing are incredible. And they're always so gracious and they're like, oh, thank you so much. Don't thank me. This is their accomplishment, not mine. I'm just the messenger on how to get there. They're putting in all the work and they're doing it all. So I'm very blessed. I have the best job on this planet. I couldn't ask for anything more than what I have with it.
Robin Haynes from paranormal-empowerment.com. Thank you for sharing your very personal experiences with us tonight and for being such a great friend to us. We love you and we're looking forward to working more with you in the future out in the cryptid side of the house.
Yeah.
And again, it was fun having you on the phone when we were in the field
I
in
love
Arkansas.
Yeah, we'll get out in the field this year. I can't wait. And once I get moved, it'll be even easier. I'm already working with some groups of cryptids now in Texas and loving that. So I'm very anxious to get moved and I can't wait to see you guys and we can go hang out and get out in the field. It'll be so much fun. And thank you both for always being so kind and considerate and letting me on the show. Like, I love it. It's like going home and everybody is just so wonderful and welcoming. You know, when you have a lot of these experiences, you just sometimes feel like the freak show. And you guys never, ever make me feel like that. So from the bottom of my heart, I thank you for that.
We love you. So for myself, Daniel Becker, up here in the Arctic abyss of Anchorage, Alaska, for my fellow host down in Quincy, Washington, southward for me, down in Quincy, Washington, Matt Slater, and for Robin Haynes from paranormal-empowerment.com. Check out our website. Also, check out the 2025 Nebraska Bigfoot Conference, for which she is an organizer. Make sure you stay tuned to that one as well. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you.